Welcome to today's video, where in today's video I'll be reading chapter 4 of Transformers Prime Shatterglass fanfiction. Anyways, let's get started on reading. What are you working on? Jack asked, pushing his glasses up a bit. The action reminded Ratchet of Raphael, and he had to look down to hide the fact that he might have missed the boy. A way to contact your dimension, Ratchet replied, looking up again and rapidly typing coding into the system. Jack tilted his head slightly in curiosity. Can I help you at all? I occasionally help Soundwave and Knockout with things I know, a little Cybertronian. Ratchet's gaze turned to the young human who looked like Raphael, but had the same name as the Jackson Darcy he knew. Jack, I'm not sure how you could help in this case, he replied simply. We could try the Decepticons comlink, Jack suggested. I wouldn't want to end up calling Megatron our Megatron. It would be a lovely conversation, Bulkhead replied sarcastically, making Raph grin. Nice, he complimented, making the wrecker smile a bit. Miko huffed slightly and brushed a strand of hair from her face. It was weird. Usually Miko was the louder one, but she had been quiet and hadn't talked unless talked to, or she thought it was important. His Miko just talked whenever she had something to say. It was certainly a change, one he hopefully didn't have to get used to. That's what changing the code is for, Jack replied, pulling his laptop out from his bag and sitting down where he was at the computers. Starting to type is just as fast as Ratchet, making the set all about raise an optic ridge and turn back to his computer to type. See? Comlink code, Jack announced, turning his laptop over. Ratchet turned to look, adjusting his optics to the tiny text on the smaller screen. He tried to see if he could recognize any and if they were similar. Surprisingly, there were a few digits that were not anywhere close to what he had remembered. Alright, we'll give this a shot, Ratchet muttered, seeing no other option. He continued typing a bit of code before hesitantly entering the first comlink code, Megatrons. The Autobots in the room waited attentively as they overheard what Ratchet and Jack were doing. As Ratchet set out a transmission, everyone seemed to hold their breath. Statement! Incoming transmission from Autobots Outpost Omega 1. The kids all looked up after hearing a familiar name. A transmission? Raph asked hopefully as Miko walked over to the railing to look at the screen that was displaying the request. Autobots Outpost Omega 1, Knockout asked, making a small face of disgust. Miko glared at him. Inquiry accept, Soundwave asked. Accept, Megatron replied, optics fixed onto the screen as Soundwave tapped a button on the keyboard, and the screen turned to static a little before a picture started to appear of an orange and white looking bot. On the other side of the screen, a white and blue con started to appear on the Autobot screen. Now the Cybertronians in either dimension knew what to expect. The screen started to clear of static and it left every Decepticon in the room to stare at every Autobot through the screen and vice versa. Optimus and Megatron locked optics with each other for a while, and no one said anything as they noticed the leader's behavior. Orion? Megatronus? The two asked at the same time, both equally surprised at the voice of the other. It was less harsh and cold. Actually, it's Megatron. Optimus Prime, the two said again. Creepy, Raph muttered as he stared at Optimus before getting jabbed in the ribs slightly by Miko. Optimus saw Megatron and remembered him as the brother he had once fought with in battle. As Megatron remembered Optimus even as the Autobot who had considered his close friend, ally, and even brother. They continued to look at each other before Knockout cleared out his throat. Sorry to interrupt, Megatron, he said, making the Autobots expect Megatron to correct the medic and tell him it was Lord Megatron, but he never did. But I believe the Autobots called us for a reason, he said, looking at the screen and catching Ratchet's optics. By now, everyone was trying to find their enemy or counterpart. Agent Fowler and Agent Bishop caught each other's eye through the screen, both seeming to assess each other as both Miko's faces made a slightly horrified and disgusted expression at what the other was wearing. Jack couldn't stop looking at what was supposed to be the other Jack, but kept glancing at Raphael to make sure he was still there. Raph was doing the same thing with Jack, while also smiling a little at Miko's wilder outfit. Knockout's gaze shifted from Ratchet over to the birth-ridden Bumblebee, who had woken up in time to see the other dimension. He didn't feel like saying anything, and Bulkhead and Breakdown's optics both narrowed as they looked at each other. Doctor and Nurse Darby, after seeing if their sons were okay, saw each other stare for a while. RC, who had heard voices that weren't the Autobots, had walked in and immediately saw Arachnid, or what was supposed to be her. Her optic twitched again, and Arachnid only raised an optic ridge at her nemesis. Soundwave blankly stared at Ratchet with his visor, and Ratchet blankly stared back. Neither side could get over each other. They sat there for probably hours just staring at her if it weren't for Miko. Will someone say something? I don't want to look at that boring part myself forever. That remark made Raph laugh over the screen, and Miko smiled. Pleased she had at least made someone laugh as her counterpart blew a strand of hair out of her face angrily and crossed her arms over her chest. Better than staring at the crazy part myself, she muttered, though no one really heard. Ratchet eventually managed to look away and he rubbed the back of his helmet. Well, it's certainly a relief that we're able to make contact with you, he said, making everyone else snap back to reality after staring at each other. It's certainly a relief to know the kids are unharmed, Megatron said, his gaze shifting over to the three human allies of theirs. Optimus nodded in agreement as he looked at the three, Jack staring back at him. "We have no idea how weird this is," Raph muttered on the Autobot's side. "I believe we have some idea," Knocker replied back to him through the screen. Raph shrugged. "Speaking of weird, do you have any reason for what caused this?" Megatron asked, looking at Ratchet specifically. Ratchet nodded. "Our route bridge malfunctioned. In my haste to finish it, I had repaired it incorrectly, causing it to become a black hole. Our Jack, Miko, and Raph were pulled in, and as been told, yours as well." Soundwave nodded once. Inquiry: how were both dimensions affected? The Autobots exchanged glances with each other. Their Soundwave had taken a vow of silence, so hearing him talk was a little shocking. "Truthfully, I do not know. However, we need to figure out a way to get each other's humans back." "Statement. We'll work on that." "As will I," Ratchet replied. Megatron was about to say something when an alert popped up on their screen. "Autobot activity," Knockout muttered, causing the Autobots to exchange glances with each other again. "They're relentless," Starscream sighed, and Megatron gave him a look, slightly telling him to hush as the Autobots could hear them. Well, the nicer Autobots. "It seems we may have to end this here," Optimus said, now looking at their own screen, which showed an alert of their own. "Energon readings," Ratchet mumbled. Optimus nodded once, knowing that they needed that Energon. "Hopefully we can make contact again soon," the Prime said to the screen, staring at the sun. Guns on the other side. "Hopefully," Megatron agreed, and Soundwave cut the transmission before Ratchet could. Autobots transform and roll out. Decepticons transform and rise up. And that is it for Chapter 4 of Transformers Prime Shattered Glass. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.